Hi, welcome to this video that I'm going to introduce you to the Autofollow plugin. So Autofollow allows us to position objects next to each other based on their width or their size. And this is very helpful, especially when we're working with real-time dynamic content. So let's go ahead and I'm going to create a blueprint class of type actor. I'm going to call this blueprint Autofollow. And let's go ahead and open that up. So in this example, what I want to do is I'm going to grab a text 3D. Let's just move our camera a bit slightly here. So there we go. So we can see what we're working with. And this is going to be a value. So let's set it to 100. And what I want to do is I want to add a percent sign. So I could add that in the text like this, just add percent. But I want my percent sign to be a different size, for example, maybe a different material or something like that. So I have my text 3D here. I'm going to set it as a percent sign and I want to position it there nicely, and I'm going to scale it down to 0.5 because that's what my design requires. Okay, which looks great like that. But now the problem is when I go to my value over here and I change this to, say, for example, 10%, we now get this gap between the number and the percent sign. And that becomes even worse when we set it to 1%, or if we have something like 99.99%, it's now overlapping the percent symbol over there. So that's no good. So let's see how we can use the autofollow component to be able to achieve something better. So I'm going to go to add component and search for autofollow and add that in there. And I'm going to drag my percent symbol under as a child of the autofollow. Okay. Now I need to go into the construction script. I'm going to grab autofollow and I'm going to drag out from there and look for a component set source component. There we go. And the value property over here is going to be the object that we're tracking. So this is going to be my first text over here, my value text. And I'm going to hook that up there and set the construction script. And let's see if it compiles. And there we go. Everything's fine. Okay, so now we already see that our percent sign has moved. Let's go back to our value here and set it back to, say, for example, 10%. So you can see that the symbol is changing based on the value. Let's do that again. You see it moved to the left now. So that's good, but we still have a big gap between our value and our symbol sign. That's not exactly what we want. So let's put in a value here that we can work with. I'm going to set it as 10%. Then I'm going to go to the autofollow component. And we have this spacing property. So I'm going to bring that down, say, I don't know, minus 110. That's a bit too much. Let's set it to minus 105. I think that's positioned nicely relative to the number. I'm going to keep it like that. So let's go ahead now and change the value here to 100%. And there we go. Our symbol is moving nicely relative to the value. And we can put any value in here that we want. And that symbol sign is just going to position itself correctly according to the text. So it's just as easy as that to position objects dynamically relative to other objects. And we're not only limited to text. So let's just remove these and let's see another example. I'm going to grab a cube in here. I'm going to put that into the scene over here. And let's grab a cone as well. 1 second. Okay, so there we have a cone, and I'm just going to move this to the side a bit so we can see it. And I'm just going to add some textures, materials here so that we can actually see it a bit clearer what's going on. So let's get the blue and drag that there. Okay, so now I have these two shapes. I want to now be able to position my cone here on top of the cube. So I can do that. The problem is if I dynamically change the scale, for example, of my cube, let's set it to 2. So the cone doesn't move, but I want that cone always to be at the top of my cube over there. So we can use autofollow for that as well. Again, I'm going to find the autofollow component, move my cone. This is the object that's going to be moving as a child of the autofollow component. We have to hook up the construction script again because I removed them. But this time we're going to be tracking the cube. So let's go in there and hook that up. Let's hit compile. Let's go back to our viewport. So our cubes move, but it's not exactly what we wanted. So let's try again and move the Z over here to scale it up to 2. It's still not working, and we'll see in a minute why. Let's bring this back down. If I change the Y scale, you see that our cone did move. So the reason that's happening is that in our auto follow component here, we've set the axis to Y. So we're tracking the Y axis of our source, which is our cube. So let's go ahead and set this to Z because we're going to move it along the Z. Okay. Now, if I go to my origin and I set this to 2, the cube's moving up nicely. So the last problem is that we just need to position our cone exactly where we want it to be, nicely on top of our cube there. Now let's go back to the cube, set the position to 2, 3, 4, and we can see that the cone is just positioned there nicely on top of our cone, whatever the size is. So that's how you can use autofollow in multiple different ways. Okay, you can save this out and throw it into your level. Thanks for watching.